Hi everyone and welcome to RollerSkillz. My name is Danielle Lockwood and I'm a professional roller skater, creator and coach. Today I'm going to be talking to you all about my skate history. So this is my background in the skate world, when I started, why I started, where I started, and everything that I've done ever since I did start. Just a little overview of what I'm going to be talking about today. So most of you know that I learned how to skate at Starlight Express, so I'm going to be diving into my whole experience with that. I also was teaching for a company called PlayTone, and that is where I gained my first teaching experience towards adult roller skaters. I've also been hired as entertainment to work on my roller skates at tons of events and gigs. And I've been going at it alone with RollerSkillz, teaching online and in person and doing my thing on the socials for about a year and a half now. And if you want to hear more about all of those in a lot more detail, keep on watching and don't forget to like, subscribe and share. So the first thing that I like people to know is that I actually started as an adult. So most of my students are adults as well, and it just gives them that little bit of reassurance to know that you can start from scratch. And just to put a number on it, I started at the age of 21 back in 2017. So most of you already know that I'm also a professional performer in the musical theatre industry, and that is how I got into the world of roller skating. If you don't know, there is a big musical called Starlight Express by Andrew Lloyd Webber, and this musical is a huge spectacle in this ginormous theatre that was built for the show. This is in Germany, in Bochum, and I was there for 2 and a bit years. Contrary to what most people think, almost all of the performers that are hired to do the show are not skaters and have probably never touched a pair of skates in their life. Pretty much me. So I auditioned for the show as a dancer, and my agent at the time was the one that got me in the room for the audition. And I'm going to be completely honest here, I genuinely don't think I realised the scale of what I had got myself into when I walked into that audition room. I didn't really know that the show was about trains. I didn't really know like the extent of what I would be doing on roller skates. And I was very, very lucky because this was actually my first professional contract after graduating. And just before we flew out to Germany and went into skate school, I think it was actually our agent's advice that me and my friend Serena went and found a little pop-up roller disco. I think it was in South Bank in Waterloo. It was like underneath the, under the bridge. And that truly was the first time that I had ever put on a pair of quad skates. I believe that when I was younger, I have a very, very like faint memory of having roller blades, like inlines, when I was probably, I don't know, around 10-ish. But I did not take to it, and I don't think I even enjoyed it. And yeah, like I said, it's a very faint memory of maybe putting them on maybe once or twice. And the only other experience that I had in terms of skates was the very few times that you ever went like ice skating, just as like a fun thing to do one day. Again, very far and few in between. So yeah, me and Serena went to this pop-up roller disco, and I was like, oh my gosh, these are so slippery. How are we gonna do this? And I genuinely just felt like Bambi. But I remember like by the time that we finished, we like went round once without holding the edge, and we were really proud of ourselves. So obviously as dancers hired to become skaters to take part in this show, there was actually quite a lot of us. In our year, I think there was 22. So yeah, we went over to Germany to start our skate school. So this process was the hardest thing that I've ever done in my whole life, but the absolute most rewarding. It is like no other training, I feel like. It is so intense, and we basically had to become professional roller skaters in the space of about 3 months. I feel like it was probably a good 8 hours a day on our skates, about 6 days a week. So I cannot make this video without praising and giving credit and, oh my gosh, just showing my gratitude and appreciation for the absolute legend that is Michal Fraley. So that was our coach, and a huge part of what I teach now is him, is the technique that he taught us. And it's just so strong and so solid that why would I teach my students anything else but what he taught me? I just have to hop on here as future me, because the day that I filmed this video, about an hour after I finished filming, I actually found out that Michal Fraley had sadly passed away. It's really, really hard to put into words how much this man means to so many and how special he was. He really did just make you believe that you could do anything, even if that anything was impossible. And he taught me so much, and I'm not even just talking about skating, I'm literally talking about life lessons. He taught us how to face fear head on, and I've never known anyone more patient in my whole life. He truly gave a gift to every single person that has ever done Starlight, and the fact that he coached generations of performers to skate in that show is just unbelievable. And when I say that I have him to thank for where I'm standing right now, it just makes me really sad that I won't be able to tell him that again in person. This was obviously such unexpected news, and my heart goes out to all of the Starlight family, wherever they may be in the world, and especially to those still in Bochum, and those closest, nearest and dearest to him. I honestly just feel so honoured and privileged to have been taught by him. And every time you put your skates on, you hear his voice in your head. Like, if you know, you know. And I will hear that voice literally for the rest of my life. And I don't even know how to end this little section, but if you speak to anyone that has ever done Starlight Express and you ask them to describe Michal Fraley in one word, I promise you it would be a legend. I'm going to wrap this up, and I hope that you enjoy continuing to listen to my skate history. I wouldn't be rolling around like I do now if it wasn't for Michal Fraley, so thank you so much. So the first day, I think we just tried our skates on and then we watched the show, which was amazing. I just remember them all like whizzing around and doing what they do and thinking, wow, this is so exciting. And then it wasn't until like the end of that first week where I was like, oh my gosh, we have to do that, because I kind of had perspective, having been on my skates for a week and starting to learn what we needed to learn to be able to do the show. This stage that we were preparing to skate on, again, is like no other stage in the world. It is not just a proscenium arch square stage, it is a stage with 3 levels and bowls and ramps and tracks in the audience. Like, it's crazy and it's amazing. It is just unbelievable. We were actually trained to be speed skaters, because in the show there were races. That was a whole part of the story. So you had to be able to skate at a certain speed, and you also had to skate in trains with other people, which is something that you guys probably haven't really seen me do, but that is again what we were trained to do, was to skate with others, which could be quite scary at times. Like, for example, at one point in the show there's a 6-man train that goes down one of the tunnels across what we called the deck, which was the main part of the stage, and we had to jump over someone in a 6-man train. So there was like some crazy things like that, and just generally it was mental if I actually think about it. Of course, we were specifically trained in the bowls and how to deal with ramps and stuff like that. There was lots of moving parts of the set. So I feel like the 3 months went by quite quickly. Of course, the main part of our training was the skating, but don't forget, we actually had to learn an entire show as well. So that's choreography, that's spacing, singing. Don't forget, we were singing on wheels. And it was in German. The whole show was in a different language. So yeah, there was a lot to take in. I do feel like on multiple occasions my brain was going to explode, but it was incredible. I should have said this at the start, but I actually have an entire video and I've kept it on this channel. I uploaded it about 3 years ago, and it is my experience in skate school. So if that is something that you are interested in going and watching, I will link it below or up or wherever. I'll link it somewhere so that you guys can go and see it from beginning to when I actually did my professional debut. And it was really good actually, because we did have an opportunity. Oh, what did they call it? Wasn't it like free time? Basically, like in between a double show on the weekend, we would be allowed to go and use the stage under the supervision of Michal Fraley, to kind of practice anything we wanted to, or try any tricks or stuff like that. And I really wish I had have taken more advantage of that time. I'm honestly like killing myself now that I didn't take more videos on that stage. And even though I have like some amazing photos and some really cool videos of me at like the end of the show in character costume and everything, it's not quite the same as like me, Danielle, skating on this incredible stage. I've spoken so much about Starlight now, so let's move on. I left in May 2019, and then for winter 2019 I was booked to play Tinkerbell in Peter Pan the pantomime. That was really strange because I was the only one on my skates for that job, and yeah, I think it was cool because they were all like, wow, like it's amazing you're on your skates, and obviously being Tinkerbell anyway, like all the children like loved you and all of that kind of stuff, which was really cute. But this stage that I had to perform on, which was a just normal box stage, it was one of the most raked stages in the whole of the UK. If you don't know what raked means, it basically means sloped down towards the audience. So in the rehearsal room, I was like doing all my one-footed spins and I was like, yeah, this is amazing. And then the first day that I got on stage to practice, I was like, I can't do anything. Like, just imagine you're trying to do your best tricks, but you're on a slope. It's not fun. So I ended up having to kind of take most of them out, which was a real shame, but it made my job a little bit easier. But yeah, so that was a really fun job as well that I did on my skates. It was nice to be able to do another show as well as Starlight Express. Oh, and when I came out of Starlight Express, I went into another show called The Wedding Singer, which was like an 80s musical. And there was like a random bit where they wanted me to, it was so funny, they wanted me to double, like basically like a stunt double, the woman that was playing the granny, because she had this song in the show that was like a rap and it was supposed to be her being like really hip and cool. And she went off into the wings as I went on dressed like her on these roller skates. And I was doing these things on my skates and then went off to the wing and then she'd come back on. Does that make sense? But yeah, so that was quite funny that they wanted to get that little like cameo in there. Because you're constantly in between contracts, you never really know when your next show is going to be, all of that. I then reached out to some agencies, I got some gigs and events on my skates, and that was really cool to start experiencing the world of roller skating outside of Starlight. I think it's really important to mention that whilst you're in Starlight, you learn and you do what you need to learn and do to do the show, unless you take it upon yourself to learn and try new things, which again, like I said, I wish I had have done. So I definitely feel like I was in this like Starlight bubble for a while, and it took me a little bit of time to kind of like break out of that Starlight bubble and start to see the skate world in a different light, and just realize that there are so many different categories and genres and styles of skating. When I realized that I actually really enjoyed doing like the gigs and events on my skates, and I didn't really want to put them away and forget about them, I then got in touch with another fellow ex-Starlightee called Tanuke, and she is incredible. Go and follow her. Her and her friend Obi had this amazing company called PlayTone, and they were teaching skating and hooping, and I think they started teaching skipping too. And I became one of their teachers. So I went to kind of the teachers training and I started instructing for PlayTone as a company. And this was the first time that I had taught anyone on skates. So it was amazing to get that experience and to realize how much I love teaching, especially skating. So I started teaching for them summer 2019, and then I continued working for them, but then obviously the pandemic hit, which was March 2020, I think. So they ended up taking it online, which was amazing because again, I was one of their online instructors to keep the skate classes going. And again, an amazing opportunity for me to experience teaching online and being able to know how to set it up and how to kind of approach it. I really do need to give credit to both Tanuke and Obi and PlayTone as a company for taking me on and starting me off and giving me the experience that I got from working with them, and they were such a lovely company to work for, and there were so many amazing students in their classes. So yeah, I'm just super thankful that I got the opportunity to start with them. So the summer of 2020, when people started to go out again and start getting their lives back before lockdown number 2, I think PlayTone just decided to stop their classes, which was totally fair enough. So that is when I decided that I wanted to go at it on my own, and I didn't want to stop teaching on skates. And I also needed it. I really needed it financially. Obviously, like, the musical theatre industry had shut down because of coronavirus, and yeah, there wasn't really much else for me to do. So I was like, I need to continue this. I need to start something. And that is when I started teaching via Zoom, as I had been doing for PlayTone, but for myself instead. So I'll take you back to lockdown number 2. I'm sure you all remember. It was not very nice. It was winter 2020 going into 2021, and this is when I started my Instagram, and RollerSkillz was born. So this was January 2021, which actually, in the grand scheme of things, it really wasn't even that long ago if you think about it. I'm so proud of my growth, and I'm so here for all of the little successes that it has brought me, and again, just so grateful that it has kind of blossomed from all of my previous experiences on skates. And then, yeah, it just kind of grew from there. So, of course, since then, I've taught myself a lot. So I've now been skating for 5.5 years, and I've been teaching for 3 of those years. I've taught group classes, I've taught online, and recently my favorite way to teach is private coaching. I love being able to give all of my undivided attention and focus to one student, and I feel like the outcome of that is so great, and seeing their progress, especially when they come to me from scratch, it's just so amazing to see their development, and it makes me so happy. And it is, again, it's just such a rewarding job, and I'm so glad I kept skating and I didn't just put my skates to the back of my wardrobe, and I'm doing something with it, and I'm really proud of myself for that, actually. And I feel like I've not really spoken about kind of the gigs and events side of things. So I've worked in clubs, I've worked for music videos, I've worked for kind of corporate events. And when you get booked for these, you're always treated so well, and the jobs are really fun to do. And again, it just gives you that extra experience on your skates in a different world. And I really enjoy it because it kind of puts my 2 worlds into one. So obviously I have my performer side and my skating side. And this is where I feel like they kind of gel. So whenever I do get booked for entertainment to do any of these type of jobs, I get so excited because it means that I get to go and perform on my skates, kind of in front of an audience. Sometimes they're not really paying attention, but I know that we're appreciated and we are there as entertainment, and people are always like, oh my gosh, wow. If you're wondering what I'm up to at the moment on my skates, a lot of what I do is planning, filming and editing content, online classes, or I do a lot of coaching at the moment, which I love, like I said. I think I've mentioned everything. Going forwards with RollerSkillz, I have so many fun plans and so many exciting things in the pipeline. Of course, I want my socials to keep growing. I'm really trying to push my YouTube at the moment. I'm also going to be focusing a lot more on my TikTok. My Instagram has done some amazing things and created me so many opportunities. So I'm so grateful for that, and I just want my other platforms to do so. I, of course, have my full online classes and tutorials over on the Patreon, so you can go and check them out if you are looking to start your skate journey or level up. There is something for everyone at every single level. Watch this space. I'm going to keep these skates on my feet. I'm going to keep powering through, and we're going to see where they take me. I hope you enjoyed this video and like listening to me talk about my skate experience and what I've been up to on my skate journey so far. If you did, please be sure to like, subscribe and share. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you all more than you can possibly know. I will see you on the next one.